What is going on, everyone? Welcome into Big Time Football Talk. So I wanted to break down the my top 5 running back prospects for the 2022 NFL Draft. Starting with number 5, 5'10", 210 pounds, Mohamed Ibrahim, running back from the University of Minnesota. And, there's a lot to like about Ibrahim and the next 4 guys I'm going to get to. He's a very physical, aggressive runner, strong lower body, pretty powerful legs. A guy that's, not shy from, doesn't shy away from contact at all. Good vision, always tries to run through every tackle. And he's very quick twitch, and what I mean by that is defenders don't really get a good shot on him. It's kind of like, Tyreek Hill with his blazing speed, even though he's a little bit small, and defenders never really get like a solid, hard hit on him. That's why he stays pretty healthy. I think that's Ibrahim, why he's stayed healthy at Minnesota, and why that would translate to the NFL. Staying healthy is, he's able to avoid the big blows that would, cause him to get injured. But, he did a lot of great things against Michigan when I watched him. That was a game I watched closely. He impressed me, that game specifically because they were, getting beat fairly handily against Michigan. I like to I tend to notice guys that shine, when they're getting beat. I think that says a lot about a player, and it says a lot about, their talent, but... Yeah, I watched the tape against Wisconsin. He played pretty well there. They got beat that game, but he had some good runs and showed a lot of toughness and showed a lot of tenaciousness and aggression when it comes to run or pass blocking too. He's not the best pass blocker in the world, but he shows a willingness to, and he uses his whole body and every bit of strength he's got, even though he's not the biggest guy at 5'10", only 210 pounds. But puts a lot of effort into it, and that's what you got to ask. A lot of pass blocking as a running back is a willingness to try to do it and an effort sort of thing. You see a lot of guys struggle because they just don't want to make the effort and they don't want to put in the time to improve and get better at it. So, but weakness, not great acceleration, and like I touched on, pass blocking, and he's not a guy with the home run speed. Like, he's not going to test in the 4.3s, 4.4s, but I think, Ibrahim, I think he could be a solid running back in the National Football League, and he's just a guy that I've really just enjoyed watching play football the last 2 years. He's gotten better. The Fresno State game kind of, he had a fumble, and he wasn't really running as hard as like he did later on, but, got better and better in 2019. Minnesota struggled earlier in that year, eventually ended up, I think, 11-2, but he got better as a team, got better too. And, in 2020, Minnesota wasn't a great team overall, but, games that they lost, Wisconsin, Michigan, he played well, ran tough, and, does a pretty good job of keeping his shoulders square, and, always just, not shying away from contact. So, number 5, Mohamed Ibrahim, running back from the University of Minnesota. So, I'll get to my number 4 guy is 5'9", 210 pounds, similar size to Ibrahim, the C.J. Verdell, running back from the University of Oregon. Verdell, he's a guy that, reminds me actually a lot of DeAndre Swift. He's a pretty versatile back. He can play outside, in the slot, shows ability to, get involved in the passing game. He's a quick runner, good change of direction. Like Ibrahim, strong lower body, pretty solid in pass protection from what I saw. Decent acceleration. He's had a solid career at Oregon. This will be his 5th year at Oregon. He's been very productive, and Verdell's one of those guys that doesn't, he's not going to really run you over, but he runs tough. And like Ibrahim, and like I'll say about the next 3 guys I'll mention on the list, he's just a very tough physical runner. And once again, doesn't have the home run speed, but Verdell, like Ibrahim, is a guy that I really enjoy watching every time. It seems like he's shined in some big games too, and so CJ Verdell, he's a guy to watch in his fifth year. Oregon should have a pretty good team this year. It'll be interesting what Verdell does in his last year at Oregon. I think it's he should stay healthy and have another consistent year as far as in being involved in the passing game, running game, and doing a lot of good things that'll help the Oregon football team win some games this year. So, yeah, C.J. Verdell, running back from the University of Oregon, comes in at number 4 on the list, excuse me. At number 3 on the list is 6'1", 215 Breece Hall, running back from Iowa State. And, I'll say it like Ibrahim too. There's a lot to really like, some things to even love about Breece Hall. One thing is the guy just does not want to go down. He's a physical runner, pretty deceptive speed. He's a guy that, gets to the second level a little faster than you would expect. Usually almost always makes the first man miss. That's something that stood out to me. And, decent size, good cutting ability, pretty good vision. A true bell cow running back. I think he's an every down back, and I think that can be, the case in the NFL. But once again, doesn't have like the home run speed that you're looking for. For example, Travis Etienne was that type of guy. Acceleration, home run speed. And what I mean home run speed, ability to break, the 50, 60, 70 yarders. Saquon Barkley had that. Saquon Barkley has, even more elite traits. But yeah, that's what's tough about this running back class that I've seen. There's not a lot of guys with elite traits. Like Saquon Barkley has several elite traits. That's his speed, his lower body strength. Travis Etienne has acceleration and home run speed, 4.4s. That's his elite trait. Najee Harris has a tremendous ability to make people miss. I would say at an elite level. So, and Breece Hall, he has a very good ability to make people miss, but I wouldn't say it's elite. But I could see Breece Hall being a good running back in the National Football League, and he's another guy that's shined in big games and benefited from a pretty good offensive line at Iowa State. From what I've seen, they've got tight ends that are willing to block. Have some of the two of the better tight ends in football that return to college football next year. Charlie Kohler, and then the other guy, I forget what his name is. He's 88 or 89, I believe. But yeah, Breece Hall he's a darn good football player, darn good running back, and Iowa State's an interesting football team this year. And, don't be surprised if Breece Hall's in the discussion as the number 1 running back. These next two guys that I'll name all have a discussion for the number 1 spot, I believe. The number 1 guy I'll get into, more so in a minute here, why I think he, stands out more so. But Breece Hall has a strong case for me to be number 2. Which gets me to my next guy. Number 2, originally thought was going to be my number 1, is Isaiah Spiller, 6'1", 225 from Texas A&M. And one thing that stood out to me about Spiller is there was several games, the LSU game, South Carolina, they just fed him, and he was kind of their identity in that football game, and he was the reason why they had a lot of success moving the football, because they just kept feeding him. Also the Florida game too. So first thing I just stood out to me that, Isaiah Spiller is a workhorse, every down running back, just not afraid of contact, runs through tackles, whether that's, just breaking the arm tackle or just running the guy, flat over. So, and it shows a good job, receiving ability and, pretty good hands. And he's another guy that just falls forward every run. That's something I should add about Breece Hall. That's what I love about, a lot of these running backs. They always fall forward, and he's a punishing runner, really runs angry, and he does a good job blocking. They actually, played him at fullback. I forget which game, but Tennessee game, had him play some fullback, which is very impressive. But the one thing I didn't like about Spiller is he tries to make too many cuts sometimes, and he tries to, on those outside zone plays, kind of tend to slow down and look for a hole too often, and he gets tackled in the backfield for loss. Those were some of the weaknesses that stood out for Isaiah Spiller. But other than that, Isaiah Spiller is a pretty darn good running back, and a lot of experts in like national media have him as the number 1 running back. So, be an interesting development to see where he is after next season, and where he is as far as ranked in the as far as position heading into the draft next year. Around this time, April, May, forget when the draft is, but so. Number 2 was Isaiah Spiller, running back, Texas A&M. Number 1 is a guy that I've really fallen in love with. And last year when I watched a couple games, I wasn't super impressed. But the more and more tape I watched of Samir White, running back from Georgia, 6 foot 216, the more I've really grown to love Samir White. Samir White is a guy that just really is a punishing runner. That Baylor game, the announcers, I think Sean McDonough, really commented just how physical and tough of a runner he is, and I just love to watch that. You love to watch a guy, you hear him just run into the guy, you hear the pads pop, and you know that he just is inflicting pain and and aggression on another opponent. And it's really an attitude, and it's it's something that your football team really rallies around. But so some other strengths. Samir White runs with a good natural forward lean, good quick cuts, accelerates out of them pretty well. Physical runner, like I touched on, and he's not shy of contact at all. Not the best average last year, but if you really watched, he got stronger as the game went on, and he showed the ability to, not necessarily with home run speed, but showed the ability to break some big gainers. Had a big game in that Missouri game. And he's just a guy that, defenders just don't want to tackle as the game goes on. And he's, to me, 700 yards last year, the numbers and stats really stick out to probably why he's not ranked number 1. But if he has a big year, 1,000-yard season, and continues to improve in some areas, not that I don't think he needs to improve a whole lot of areas, but I think if he can take his game, improve on things he does good, and make maybe does them great next year, like as far as accelerating out of cuts, and getting in more involved in the pass game and becoming more of a pass blocker. I think that people will be talking about him as the number 1 running back for sure heading into the 2022 NFL draft. So I love Samir White. I think a lot of these top three guys could have a case to be the number 1 running back prospect in the draft. They've all have good traits, no really elite traits though, and I don't think may not be the best running back class, but I kind of feel the same way about this running back class like I did the D tackle class in this year in 2021. There's some good players that could really help your football team. Not like, super, maybe Hall of Fame talents, but, could do some things really well. So a few guys I want to touch on, honorable mention, Zach Charbonnet, the Michigan transfer. Last year, Michigan, horrible, offensive coaching, horrible, offense in general was the reason that, Charbonnet's numbers weren't great. But in the Minnesota game where he actually got carries, broke a big gainer. And then as a freshman, I forget what he had, it was like 800, 900 yards, and, played some really good football for Michigan as a freshman back in 2019. And then Master Teague was pretty solid this year. You saw that Sermon kind of became the guy later for Ohio State, but nonetheless, Master Teague is a physical, bruising running back. Is not a guy that has home run speed by any means, but as he's not lacking for physicality and ability to break tackles and be a goal line threat. So that's why he's honorable mention. Kevin Harris from South Carolina. He's a big physical runner. Has the ability to, cut and, get outside and break tackles too. Damian Pierce from Florida. He's another tough runner. So like I touched on, these guys, all have some good traits, but, no elite traits. And they're guys that, will be interesting to watch and see if they'll get in the top 5 mix as far as my top 5 mix, or maybe, the top 5 mix as far as nationally. Because, Master Teague, some people have him in the top 5 to 10. Kevin Harris, they do. But, Damian Pierce and Charbonnet don't really get necessarily as much attention. But thanks so much for tuning in to this episode, guys. Thank you so much for your support of the channel. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Till next time, peace.